Hello again, YouTube, and welcome to LowEndBoxTV's Weekend Update for the week of July 24th, 2021. News, tutorials, interviews, and offers. As always, it was a jam-packed week on LowEndBox. Now, I'll just be quickly skimming over all of our news, but if you want more information on anything I mentioned, just look in the description below for links. Okay, let's get started. I'll start with a bit of news that was posted on LowEnd Talk. Community advertiser OnApp has been acquired by Virtuozzo. As you may recall, OnApp launched Cloud.net earlier this year, and that's their platform for providing cloud as a service. OnApp will continue to operate within Virtuozzo. Now, there's an interesting piece of data in the article that I linked. The cloud infrastructure market is a $129 billion market in 2020, and that's increasing 35% year over year. Global hyperscalers, such as big public clouds, make up 2/3 of that market, with smaller players at the local, regional, and national level making up the rest. That third is what Cloud.net and Virtuozzo target, and this joining of forces is thought to give them more firepower as they do so. Good luck to both OnApp and Virtuozzo. All right, let's talk about some other news now. First, we noted how Chia is driving the hard drive market. We've seen that in our own community with the struggles that host solutions had replacing failed drives. Not only have hard drive prices surged, but hard drives are being driven hard, as the intense farming operations have the potential to burn out these components. We'll talk more later about what to look for if you rent a dedicated server. We also covered some emerging trends in the ransomware insurance market. Previously, insurance companies reimbursed their clients for ransom that was paid out, but this is less likely going forward. Ransomware attacks continue to be a huge problem in the business world, and some of the more sophisticated criminals are first penetrating insurance companies to determine how much coverage potential targets have. The total global ransom in 2020 was at least $18 billion. Now, you may remember the Afrinic scandal back in 2019, where an insider profited from selling IPs, specifically IPv4, which is becoming scarce. Afrinic recently began a crackdown to rein in abuse of their IPs, with the goal of policing their use to prevent people from requesting IPs meant for Africa and then using them in other regions. And finally, Akamai, one of the world's largest content delivery networks, had a major outage this week which took down many of the world's most popular sites for more than an hour. Airbnb, Home Depot, Steam, the PlayStation Network, various retailers, banks, and investment companies all suffered issues. The problems were caused by a faulty software configuration update. Before we continue, I'd like to highlight one of our community advertisers. CheapWindowsVPS is one of those companies whose name tells you exactly what they do. If you're looking for an inexpensive Windows VPS, they've got a plan for you. Starting at 4 GB of RAM, their plans include at least 2 cores, guaranteed memory, SSD RAID disk, and unmetered bandwidth on a shared 1 gigabit per second port. Now, there's no extra charge for the Windows Server license, and these aren't just remote desktop user accounts, but full VPSs with administrator rights. You can get service in New York, Chicago, Dallas, London, Sofia, Bulgaria, Singapore, or Los Angeles, and you can also choose Asia-optimized bandwidth for their LA location. They've had over 50,000 customers since they started serving the community, and sometimes post a 50% off coupon code on LowEndBox. They're offering extreme value, so if a cheap Windows VPS is what you're looking for, it makes sense to check out CheapWindowsVPS. You can find their offers on LowEndBox or visit them at CheapWindowsVPS.com. This week, we interviewed Joe Green of ManagedWay, a provider that started as a small game server hosting provider and today has its own facilities in Michigan. We have nearly 50 interviews now on LowEndBox with industry personalities from leading hosting, software development, and service provider companies. Most of these people have not been interviewed anywhere else on the web, so if you want to read up on what leaders in our industry are saying, check out our interviews. We posted 3 tutorials this week on Tarsnap, Fail2Ban, and SmartMon. Now, Tarsnap is an online backup service that provides an interesting blend of encryption and deduplication using the very familiar tar command. It's different than any other backup approach you've seen before. It's worth checking out. Fail2ban is a very well-known tool for preventing brute force attacks against whichever service you'd like to monitor, such as SSH, IMAP, or POP. And the SmartMon tools are used to analyze data stored on hard drives. You can see how old the drive is, what errors have occurred, etc. It's a great tool not only for monitoring your drives to anticipate problems, but also to inspect a drive that you've been given in a rented dedicated server. We also had a post on cookie stuffing, which is the noxious practice of slipping unwanted third-party cookies into browsers in an attempt to reap affiliate marketing dollars. It's a practice that has been prosecuted for fraud in the past. Now let's get into offers. Longtime community advertiser Wholesaler posted an offer for some E3 dedicated servers in the Netherlands starting at $68.95. These come with 8 GB of RAM, either a 1 TB hard drive or 250 GB SSD drive, 5 TB of bandwidth, and 20 gigabit per second of DDoS protection. You can double your RAM for $4 a month more. Wholesaler continues to bring aggressive prices and great value to the community, so if you're looking for horsepower in the Netherlands, check out Wholesaler's offer. Accuweb Hosting also debuted on LowEndBox. We mentioned them a while back in our video on how to get a free VPS because they offer short-term trials for their Windows systems. Their offer this time was for Linux VPS, dedicated, and shared hosting. Now, the community's reaction was a bit prickly because their pricing was a tad high for our community given the resources, especially the low bandwidth on their VPS offer. But they do have service in some out-of-the-way places, so depending on what you need, they may be a good fit. Check out the post for more info. And that's our weekend update for this week. Now, if you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up on the like button, and also please hit subscribe so we can grow the channel. We also invite you to visit us at LowEndBox and LowEndTalk, where we have fantastic deals on hosting, in-depth technical content, views and interviews from hosting industry leaders, hilarious memes and cartoons, and our famously spirited discussion. Stop by today, and until next time, happy hosting.